All right, it is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, capturing footage of the specific environment, direct evidence of what is terrorism by an entity that I'm subject to, while a demonic environment surrounds me and the demon-possessed keep me under surveillance and engage in federal stalking online with impunity. This is an impermissible threat that the entity also poses while they are aware of everything that's being documented regarding the criminal system, a federal group stalking and monitoring. I'm going to start my documentation in the parking lot. It is inherent with regard to documentation that those that live at a crime scene, work at a crime scene, they're automatically documented in the business records. As I stated in video, in the specific environment is the direct evidence used to prosecute. License 9CHJ240 is going to federal prison. Light activity while the entity sounding sirens. They're engaged in criminal summoning. License 8MXK236. License 7NNM 804. And what you're understanding, you see the video with the impossible light and the fake sun. Those are nothing but demons that are sounding sirens. They are to be uprooted, unseated from the positions that they currently hold with every fire department, every hospital where their drive EMTs are currently in custody of emergency vehicles such as ambulances. Those are demons that are engaging in surveillance, as opposed to the lawful and appropriate operation of emergency vehicles. It's massive facilitation and demons that know what I do as I do it. That's also the sex offender. 7JRV188. GGM V13, the African-American male on surveillance cameras inside of a TOWNPLACE suite. He's going to federal prison. 9 FIS 877. 8 WBB 245. Alrighty, it is 6:12 p.m. I just documented federal group stalking and monitoring by the state that's acting directly. I'm documenting the state day in and day out in a specific environment where the government engages in criminal surveillance and federal stalking with the people of the state and exhibiting demon possession, which is relevant to the prosecution for terrorism upon terrorism. The fact that the government is monitoring you, doing so in concert with the people, the constituents, those who are supposed to be free citizens like you, and they're actually not. They're monitoring you maliciously, and it is designed to target you and psychologically torment you. In addition, the entity is engaging in that which is demonic in every regard with regard to the elements of monitoring, and it is done in a demonic environment, and it is the outward demonstration of demon possession, and that's relevant also to the prosecution, the tangible and intangible harms posed by government engaging in that criminal system, and doing so with real-time knowledge, also mindful of the fact that the entity is monitoring documentation and acts willfully with specific knowledge while they continuously engage in the pattern of conduct that is inherently designed and reasonably intended to torture and torment an American citizen, to harass them. And this is no ordinary harassment. It's the government that is harassing you, and the government is harassing you with every single person that you see and do not see, keeping you under surveillance both in relevant position, meaning in physical proximity to your location, and also via communication devices, which is in a violation of existing federal statute. Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. So I'm documenting, and my documentation includes the work schedule for TOWNPLACE suites in Marriott, the surveillance cameras, and the entity that is engaged in checking in, the demon-possessed, the third parties that are checking in and out of hotel rooms, that are crossing path presence on the property and all around the property, and the properties around TOWNPLACE suites. This is serving for what is massive documentation for those who will be going to federal prison for engaging in group stalking surveillance with the state. This is terrorism with the state, and doing so with knowledge of the fact that it's been documented. This is exactly what the demons of Alvarado Garden speaker companies, the people of the state, were engaging in, and they provide evidence against themselves. When I go to a drive-thru in Pasadena and the demons are stalking in a helicopter, and when I go to a hotel in MONROVIA and the demons are stalking in a helicopter, all right, doing so with the demonic features of that which is not the sun and that which is not even naturally occurring light. License U165UO is also one of the third parties, by the way, that's engaging in group stalking with the state, that's stalking in a helicopter. This becomes legally relevant with regard to what is no ordinary criminal record. You're going to be placed and labeled as a terrorist. It's going to be published, maintained by the Department of Justice. Okay, just like any other terrorist, it's recognized that there is domestic terrorism that's going on, and it's not, for example, like the Oklahoma bombing. This is the entity that's engaging in what is a malicious form of society where you are psychologically tormenting, targeting an American citizen to systematically deconstruct their entire life, their identity, and any and everything that is related to them for the purpose. It is the ongoing conspiracy to discard, and by discard I mean to engage in homicide, if not kidnap them permanently, because the entity does not maintain any probable cause, and they are making up manufacturing information regarding the mental state of the target individual whom they are targeting. It is very much the conspiracy to murder that targeted individual. It is no small thing to engage in group stalking, including group stalking with the state that utilizes helicopters very specifically, while wanting to, on their face, such as the Pasadena Police Department, want to provide proposals regarding the intensified weaponry that they want to introduce to the public that they're going to be using as a department, while they are intentionally omitting the fact that they're engaged in criminal surveillance with the people of the state. All right, they are a liability to the public. They're a demon-infected liability. They are a pus-infected wound to the public. They literally form the public safety concern. And that chief of police is not a legitimate chief of police. That's a terrorist, and he is unfit for that position. He and every other law enforcement agency that is documented engaged in this pattern of conduct that they are not ignorant about, while they're mimicking it in the same exact specific environment. All right, the entity is doing so with regard to what is federal prison. And doing that is the no less than federal prison for group stalking and helicopters and group stalking with the state that utilizes helicopters to specifically terrorize you. All right. And while the demon possessed look to the left and right, hey, talking to each other like nothing is going on, and you're aware of the fake sun, you're aware of the ricocheting engineered light, and they also use minor children while doing so. This is entirely psychotic, very depraved, and highly malicious. All right. That is the cocktail for murdering an American citizen and doing so maliciously, then controlling the narrative. controlling the narrative afterwards in order to create what is, for example, the corrupt law enforcement agency that will conduct an investigation regarding what happened to said targeted individual. All right, that's how terrorism is occurring in America. 8WUZ173. So I'm just giving you a narrative regarding what the entity is doing, and still obsessively group stalking as I document, which has been the pattern of conduct since I started documenting it in 2018. All right, so I'm going to document license plates because this is captured on video. It's all going up to be published on the internet, and the entity will be prosecuted accordingly. 250685, that's Nevada. MYLO Heart E, license 9JNS992, 96355W3. That's a commercial vehicle, by the way. That is a UNICD mechanical. Let me get a picture of this. That's a commercial vehicle group stalking. A commercial means utilizing a commercial means of engaging in group stalking. These are demons that are pacing in the parking lot. License 375 WLJ, that's New Mexico. License 7LNN293, I'm walking back, so if I repeat a license plate, that's why. I'm going to make sure I cover everybody. X609DK, that's an elderly Caucasian male molesting with engineered light, getting out, loading and unloading things in his car, because this is what America does. They engage in terrorism on their way to whatever it is that they're doing. Those are psychopaths in liver spots, bending over, bad back and everything, going to federal prison. 9LTW449. So I want you to see this elderly couple. They're group stalkers, they're terrorists, group stalking with the entity that's stalking in a helicopter amongst engineered light, molesting me like every other demon, and there is the fake sun. And I'm capturing that at what is 6:18 p.m. It is license plate 8F99562. Georgia, CQC5862, 31633T2. 9GGN960, 6UYR841, 9FFV007, 8NSV462, 75129Z1. I already got this demon in the black BMW this morning, and he's still there. And that same unbothered attitude, as opposed to the entity taking very seriously what the federal government's going to take seriously, your prosecution, and doing so remaining. This is no suggestion of ignorance or coincidence. It's the full pattern of conduct all the way around. You're recognizing the personality defects of the demon possessed who pose a public safety concern, and even to the point to where they're listening to the punishment that they look forward to, and they remain. This is an ego. These are ego-driven, as referred to in the secular narcissist, but that is not enough for you to recognize it for what it is. It's nothing less than demon possession. And demon possession on human beings poses a threat to American society as you are witnessing it. The cause for what is crossing paths, the cause for stalking someone in a helicopter, it is because the spirit of Satan is infecting law enforcement agencies in this country. And they like to they have set back and calculated the most horrifying manner that they can keep you under surveillance and disturb you mentally. Okay, and frighten you with regard to doing so in plain sight, but also doing so in a way to where you are suffering in secret as the people of the state engage in their passive aggressive group stalking conduct in concert with that entity. That's entirely demented, very, very deranged. So that is worthy of placement in mental facilities. It is nothing less than permanent removal from law enforcement. You will be identified as the domestic enemy that you are, leading in the calculated methods of targeting American citizens with the population. And your criminal conduct is pointing directly toward the people of the state, as the people of the state point directly toward what the state is doing. They're all demon possessed, and they engage in this conduct with regard to outright disregard, where they have been given warnings because they're monitoring the documentation. So a psychopath, one that needs to be treated no less than the terrorists that they are, while they are loitering in relevant position, because you don't have any right to engage in relevant positioning. You are loitering in relevant position while you're listening to the evidence being accumulated about you, and the federal government is going to treat it very seriously. You're going to be treated like the animal, like the threat to public that you are. That's exactly how you're going to be treated, because that's what you are. So the entity is currently living in and existing and conducting itself in this illusion that the state of California has been engaging in and masquerading as for a prolonged period of time. You saw demons driving an ambulance this morning, the demons of the Arcadia Fire Department, engaging in what is criminal summoning in plain sight, in engineered light, under a fake sun. This same parking lot is where this demon in a black BMW is sitting leisurely as though he has nothing to look forward to. And he's listening to everything, knows exactly what I'm talking about. And you know that because the entity is stalking in helicopter, because of the light source, which is not the sun, because of the pattern of engineered light, because of the demon-possessed pattern to engage in more pacing conduct as they get more. The demons are both fearful, but they also become more aggressive when they get fearful. This is an abnormal and threatening behavioral pattern by the demon-possessed. They engage in more criminal conduct, in other words. They will go out and murder people as a result of being fearful that they might get caught for robbing a bank. Okay, that's the type of mindset that the demon-possessed hold, and they are currently in law enforcement. They are currently EMTs. They're currently in the medical profession. They're currently working at hotels. They're free and going about in custody of children, using children to engage in this criminal act, while they're closeted sex offenders and psychopaths. And that's nothing hyperbolic. This is what you are looking at barefaced with regard to the pattern of conduct. And that's why I show you their faces up close. I show you their license plates. I tell you their social security numbers, because they are, as a population, invading the privacy and the personal life of an American citizen. It is nothing less than justice, and that's just the basic bare bones method when I'm documenting them. It's going to be more than just having your mug plagued all over the internet, shown to be and prosecuted as a terrorist and a sex offender, which is what a group stalker is. Okay, your secrets, especially if you want to promote yourself as some sort of Christian, no, you're not. You're a criminal and you're demon-possessed. That is antithetical to being Christ-like, to being a child of God. No, you're not. So I just want to be clear. I'm not going to mince words. This is the work of Satan. You need Christ. You need deliverance. But you are not a child of God where you are documented engaged in this criminal conduct, which is demonic activity. Okay, so you have what is the permanent removal of law enforcement agencies, which are closeted terrorist organizations. And you have at the top of the roster, the chief of police. There's no anonymity. So the chief of police is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. They are engaged in the placement of corrupt leadership, and they do so with knowledge while you're engaging in an identical pattern. Okay, so the entity engages in an outright departure from keeping a fake sun over my apartment at Alvarado Gardens. And this is where it's at. And this is also where the entity is engaging in what is stalking in helicopter, and the great distance of that helicopter, and my ability to hear it. And I'm capturing all the methods of engineer light that you saw. And the entity is maintaining a straight face and still group stalking every step of the way. That's the people of the state. Everybody's going to federal prison for that. Everybody that I document. This is criminal summoning. License plate. Let me show you right quick. This is demonic pacing. An army of demons under a fake sun, group stalking in plain sight. That's criminal summoning. And they're on surveillance cameras, and they're engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct with the state. That's sounding sirens just like it was under the fake sun. Arcadia Fire Department. That's a demon-possessed fire department. License 48393W3. Crossing path with engineer light in front of the truck. Mechanical UNICD, I'm going to prosecute them civilly and criminally. That's, again, license 96355W3. License 6VOK717. License 48393W3. Engaging in criminal summoning before he leaves the scene, crossing path. In doing so, you can see the fake sun that he's driving under, just like the fake sun was over me this morning while he was group stalking. And again, who am I referencing? This demon in the black BMW with license plate. Let me get that again. License plate CWW0524. You will recall the documentation that I captured this morning while he was terrorizing with engineer light in a specific environment where the sun would never be present 9 hours later. If I recollect correctly, this was this morning. I'm looking at it right now so I can document it on my podcast. Yeah, the video of Arcadia Fire Department criminal summoning at 9:20 in the morning, and it's 6:25 in the evening. And what you'll see over my head is the fake sun in this parking lot where that demon with that license plate is group stalking. Let's count the hours together. I'm no mathematician, all right? But I believe that is outside of the bounds of any natural environment, but it is in conformity to a very specific pattern of conduct where terrorist organizations that want to be looked at as professional, having lawful authority to engage in what is any exercise of jurisdiction over your person, having probable cause, exercising reasonable suspicion when they're stalkers, like CWW0524, pacing, driving back in the opposite direction. He's going to federal prison. All right, that's criminal summoning. That's impunity. Also engaging in what is terrorism with the entity that's stalking in a helicopter. He's going to federal prison. And if he's not a natural-born citizen, he's going to be deported after he goes to federal prison. I'm going to get the rest of these license plates. License 8SZY142. License 9AMS538. This is, again, the Florida license plate 28BGFH. License plate 5L59579. License 8YQZ826. License 6JTW321. License 8HFN235. 6DYY497. 6X58243, in case I didn't read that. That's on a white truck over here, an adjacent property in relevant position. They're all group stalking together. 390FAST, 8AJW479. And I'll show you a picture of where I'm capturing this. They're all covered in the same engineer light. They're engaged in surveillance with the entity that's stalking in a helicopter, telling on all of them. And that's the foolishness of an entity engaging in group stalking together in plain sight in a specific environment. All right. And not only is that terrorist organization going to be prosecuted, the federal government's going to run all through that agency. All right. And it's not going to be a mystery also who's sitting their tail in helicopters stalking an American citizen. You're going to federal prison for that. And the terrorist leader who calls himself a chief of police, that demon is going to be removed and you're going to be prosecuted as the terrorist that you are. 9LDE860. I want to be clear. This is no ordinary terrorism. This is sexual violence. They have the spirit of a sex offender on them based on the pattern of conduct. They have the spirit of psychopaths based on the pattern of conduct. Okay, I just want to be clear. You have all manner of what is disgusting and gross and deplorable and despicable that is that animates you when you are demon possessed. Okay, everything wicked, everything disgusting that you can fathom, Satan is that spirit, and that is animating people that are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That is how you conjure up, by the way, such a malicious system as group stalking and monitoring, doing it as a society in California. This is the way of life. Okay, and then they go home, they go to yoga, they go to church. Okay, they go to their organizations where they're doing good and handing out food to the homeless, and they're group stalking. They're group stalking on the job. They're group stalking as a part of the government, abusing their positions. And demons that are sitting on the bench right now, witnessing me document the state, you're witnessing me expose you, and I'm going to prosecute you, many of whom I've identified you by name. I'm going to prosecute you as a courthouse, okay? There's no son that's ever going to be at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court like I demonstrated in Los Angeles while it remained as a matter of documentation. The fact that it's still here after 6 p.m., there's no son that was over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. Okay? Lisa Rogan and many others like those demons, they're going to federal prison. This is the same entity that engaged in multiple acts of kidnapping and is still to date in 2024 stalking, exhibiting demon possession, and group stalking under a fake sun while they are listening to me tell them what the consequences for it is. And yet they continue. Okay, so you are worthy, and that's where you're going. You're going to federal prison. That's where you belong in federal prison. That's where you ought to go as a matter of justice. Federal prison. License TKH8301, that's Virginia. License 6ZMH143. License 9BPJ924. Let me give another picture of the fake sun because you're remembering every day, every morning until sunset. And I put that in air quotes. The entity was setting a light source in perfect alignment to my bedroom window. When you're looking at the light activity, the impossible light activity that you see now at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, where the fake sun is reflecting off of this hotel building, evidence of the maintenance of a light source that's not the sun, it's over the building, and then you're seeing it reflected through the window of the same building 9 hours later, not the sun. Pattern of conduct, however, and it's also not in alignment to my bedroom window in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6. Where the sun would never be at the same address, seen through any windshield or over the same building property, in alignment to the same property, non-movement, stationary movement, while you are in New York looking at the alleged sun over you all day long. That's impossible. That's not the sun. You are understanding what is recognizing what Satan is doing in the environment, what Satan is doing amongst a people, and it is demonic activity. It's criminal. Because the government is engaging in stalking you and then masquerading as though they have any legal authority to operate a courthouse, a police department, or a sheriff's department, and they don't. And they are exhibiting demon possession, which becomes legally relevant when you're stalking in the shoes of a government that wants to be looked at as legitimate, and it is not. It is out of conformity. It is out of bounds with the existing constitutional state and federal constitutions and existing federal statutes. So it's 6:30 p.m. So let me show you this light source that you can see reflected on the 5th floor window of TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. On the opposite side of the same hotel this morning, the fake sun was over the building. This is exactly the same conduct. I want to be clear. Satan utilizes this with regard to the ability to engage in the same impact, seeing the light source and then seeing the reflection of the light source. You're engaging in the same conduct. You're creating the same appearance of that light source. Understand what Satan does, okay? Doing it, but it's also when you're going to prosecute based on recognizing the demonic, 9LSG 335. When you're prosecuting the demonic while the government is practicing it, keeping you under surveillance, it's direct evidence of what is not only asinine, okay, but it's also, it's on its face, it's entirely twisted, okay? And it's also direct evidence of what is demon-possessed group stalking. On its face, there is nothing that has anything, nothing, nobody is required to have any degree in rocket science to recognize that. So I'm going to take a picture of that so you can see that. It's 6:31 p.m. and you're looking at that light source that's reflected off of the hotel building of TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott. And then you're going to juxtapose that with the same picture I took this morning where the fake sun is over the hotel on the opposite side of the same building. License 9LQV595, exhibiting impunity while engaging in the ongoing determination to cross path on behalf of the state. That's going to be at the forefront of the mind of the federal judges that provide punishment for federal prosecution. NOEI4RN. That's another demon-possessed RN. If that's one demon that is working in the medical field, she's going to be removed. She's losing her medical record, her practice in the medical field. Such demons have no business in the medical field. This level of viciousness and this psychotic stalking and the malice with which the entity engages in targeting you, those are the demon-possessed that are secretly taking the lives of American citizens, poisoning them, stealing prescription drugs, engaging in all manner of public corruption, in other words. Engaging in all manner of corruption also in the medical practice. And then they are also the ones that are speaking to and informing about what it is that you should do with your body, the type of medications or type of medical procedures you need. These demons are pacing in the parking lot, and that demon calls herself an RN. They are a threat to the public, just as are the demon-possessed law enforcement agencies, just as are the demon-possessed judges. All right, these are criminals, and they're demons who are psychopaths. They're pacing in the parking lot right now, moving all around in engineered light because they're monitoring. License plate. License TKH8301, that's the Virginia plate. Same one, now he's moving. JHAM, that's the same white C-Class Mercedes, now he's moving, group stalking. And all they're doing is moving in and out of their parking spots. This is the same thing you see in the Planet Fitness parking lot at Washington in Los Angeles. At 6:30 in the morning, the fake sun is there, but yet I'm capturing it over my head at the parking lot in Monrovia. That's an outright departure. Let me be clear. That demon that calls herself an RN, that is Satan manifest, and she has no business in the medical field, and she will be removed. I don't need to know her name. She's engaged in the state's P.O.C. And every way that you can neutralize the threat that the entity poses to the public, you'll be removed from it. You have any minor children, you're going to be separated from them. By God, you are looking at the threat that they are when they're literally using children to engage in what is sexually violent criminal conduct with the government. That is, by the way, abuse that the federal government is going to recognize. You're going to lose your children on that, just on that basis alone. But the fact that you're engaged in group stalking, it shows a proclivity, it shows a disposition to engage in criminal conduct that is a threat not only to yourself, but to the American public. And based on that criminal conduct and all that which is exposed through your criminal engagement in a malicious government system, you will be removed in every area where you are posing a threat to American citizens, unsuspecting of your presence, unsuspecting of your threatening mindset. And the decisions that you make to target people for no legitimate reason whatsoever. By the way, there is nothing that justifies engaging in terrorism of an American citizen. There is nothing. I don't care if I stole your purse, okay, which I don't care about purses. I would never do that. But even if you steal something, there is no getting around what is entirely sick. It's sick. It's just sick on its face. And the entity is doing so. By business name, you're recognizing the demon-possessed. By license plate, okay, by position. All right, the chief of police, many in Southern California, 9LSG335 is group stalking on their behalf. And that's why they're going to be disbanded. That criminal cooperation is exactly what you are attacking. You're going to break that down. So since you like to engage in terrorizing American citizens using helicopters, using these same weapons that you want to appear legitimate, you want to present to this corrupt entity, the people of the state that are engaging in criminal conduct with you, and you want to present it masquerading as though this is a lawful society and that you have a legitimate purpose for these criminalized, very threatening and intensified weapons. They're using it to threaten the future, okay, the American citizen in the future. That's what they're being used right now, unbeknownst to you. This is an entity that is, first of all, demon-possessed and is every way hostile to your enforcement of your currently existing constitutional rights, which are God-given. Let me be clear, Satan is in every way hostile to your existence as a human being, but also to the notion of God-given rights, okay? All of this is revealing the hypocrisy of federal group stalking and monitoring in the state of California. All of it on its face. And then you have the government that is exhibiting demon possession, working for Satan while engaging in criminal conduct and wanting to outwardly conduct itself as though it is not anything other than public corruption. That is the audacious and malicious system that is federal group stalking and monitoring. License plate 9CKY209, 6XLK931. These demons are representing nothing other than a sample because they've been engaging in what is a maintenance of a course inside of my hotel room, while the whole population, thousands of people keep me under surveillance. They're living in relevant position, they're working in relevant position, they're maintaining presence, traveling around a relevant position, maintaining criminal presence as opposed to engaging in what is normal society. These are demons, and they're stalking under the fake sun and an engineered light, maintaining the elements of monitoring as I make any move. And they're sex offenders that they don't want you to know about the fact that they're sex offenders, that they're predators, while they do so while you're physically nude, engaged in any personal private activity. And the more that you point that out, the more sexually violent conduct they engage in. Okay, that's the mindset of those that will be removed from the medical field, such as that demon-possessed minion engaging in terrorism in the face, and then she wants to be taken seriously and put on some scrubs and walk into a hospital to threaten the lives of American citizens. I don't think so. You're going to be removed. You will be removed. You and every documented demon that's a part of the medical field, you can look forward to being removed from that field. That's exactly what's going to happen, and it will be public information as to why. All right, so it is currently 6:37 p.m. The fake sun remains at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, not over Alvarado Gardens, which is in alignment, not just at Alvarado Gardens, it's in alignment to my apartment, building 1806, apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor, facing Alvarado Street, seen through the windshields of the vehicles in that parking lot at this time, remaining until after sunset, filling my bedroom with what is not even sunlight, engineered light, but it is the evidence of stalking with the fake sun. But it is not the product of the sun, of the light source, because you've seen that engineered light present when the light source is nowhere near, supposedly creating the illusion of sun and sunlight. All right, it is the P.O.C. It is currently, let me get these license plates real quick, 31633T2, in case I didn't get that one, D566VO. And I'm sure I got 9LSG335, and while that demon opens his car door, engineer light moves on the black asphalt, just monitoring with the state. And everybody that works at TOWNPLACE Suites by Marriott, they're going to federal prison. They can clock in tomorrow, they can clock out tonight, they're all going to federal prison. All right, it is currently 6:38 p.m. This is P.O.C.